now got Michael Brown on the line, who viewers of Press TV may know as a political columnist, very distinguished political columnist on the Independent newspaper here in London, and I think knows Alastair Campbell very well. Michael, thank you for calling on the show.
Pleasure, Derek.
It's lovely to have you with us. Now, both as a politician for 20-odd years and then in the last 10 or 12 years as a journalist, you've known and worked with Alastair Campbell quite closely. What did you make of his evidence to the Iraq inquiry this time?
Well, it was classic Alastair Campbell, bluster, no apology, standing foursquare behind Tony Blair, apologising for nothing, spinning in the way that you and I have seen him do over these past 15 years or so. I don't actually think that we learnt anything new. After all, Derek, you must remember that Alastair Campbell has appeared before three previous inquiries: the Hutton inquiry, the Butler inquiry, and the Foreign Affairs Common Select Committee inquiry. So he's pretty well word perfect now so far as his defence of the 45-minute dodgy dossier and all that went before we went to war in 2003. The one thing I do think that may yet cause some difficulties for the previous Prime Minister, Tony Blair, when he comes before the inquiry in a month or so's time, is the fact that we got it on the record yesterday from Alastair Campbell that there was a letter or letters from Tony Blair to George W. Bush months before war took place, more or less saying, whatever happens, if you go to war, I'll be there alongside you. I think that was new.
Michael, I know that before you entered politics, you were also an historian and have a degree in history. Do you think that ancient rule of attainder in politics might come to haunt Tony Blair yet? Do you think Parliament might be a bit fed up with all these revelations that are coming out and want to take action themselves?
I fear that that's unlikely. I mean, the trouble is, Derek, that the main opposition party at the time was taken in by all this.
Yeah.
And therefore the extent to which Parliament in the long run will want to take any action against Tony Blair is going to be, I think, limited by the fact that there is an equal embarrassment for the official opposition for the part that it played in going along.
And shouting me too, yeah. And what about the implications, Michael, for Prime Minister Gordon Brown? He has to have an election in Britain by June, which probably means he's going to call it in April. So he won't be giving evidence to the inquiry until after the general election, when he may be the ex-Prime Minister. But do you think Alastair Campbell's revelations will have embarrassed Gordon Brown?
Yes, I do. I think that the Liberal Democrat leader yesterday, Nick Clegg, made a very telling point when he said Prime Minister's questions in the House of Commons to Gordon Brown, look, this is now back on the agenda. The Alastair Campbell interviews with the committee yesterday revealed that you apparently were heavily involved in going along with what Tony Blair had to say before the people cast their vote in that general election, which, as you say, Derek, is likely to be on the 6th of May. That is 112 days away, 16 weeks today, in fact. Then surely the country should see publicly what you, Gordon Brown, have to say before the inquiry. And although Gordon Brown is trying to suggest that the Shilcott inquiry have told him that they don't want to see him until after the general election, Nick Clegg suggested, that's the Liberal Democrat leader, suggested that Gordon Brown could volunteer to appear before the committee this side of the general election in order that the country could see precisely what Gordon Brown's role is. Either way, whether or not Gordon Brown, and it's very unlikely that he's going to take up Nick Clegg's suggestion, either way, I think what this does do is it puts the Iraq issue back centre stage. And that, of course, enables
It's bad news for them. Michael, I'm really grateful for your call as an experienced journalist. It was smashing to hear what you had to say, but I'm afraid that's the end of the show tonight.